What's next for Palestinians in Gaza? After years of conflict, destruction, and political turmoil, the future of Gaza remains uncertain. Will international powers step up to rebuild the war-torn region? Or will history repeat itself with more suffering and instability? Can economic investment and diplomatic efforts finally bring lasting peace? Or are we witnessing yet another cycle of broken promises? In this video, we explore the pressing challenges, the global response, and the possible paths forward for millions of Palestinians caught in the crisis. Stay with us to uncover the truth behind one of the most urgent humanitarian issues of our time. The future of the Palestinians in Gaza is still a very important and complicated problem, especially since the region is unstable and international policies are changing. Recently, world leaders like former U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have said things that make rebuilding Gaza and helping its people in need of relief aid more than just an economic issue. As the talks go on, a few important questions come up. Who will be responsible for putting Gaza back together again? What part will Arab countries that are close by play? And how can a long-term answer be made to keep the area peaceful and stable? The political scene around the world. For decades, Palestinians in Gaza have had a hard time because of wars, economic isolation, and unstable politics. Several wars between Israel and militant groups like Hamas have destroyed the area and put thousands of civilians in terrible circumstances. Israel has said that its military actions are important for national security, but the damage in Gaza has made people around the world worry about the effects on people's lives. How hard it is to rebuild Gaza's economy. Rebuilding Gaza will cost a huge amount of money. Trump's plan calls for Middle Eastern countries to be very involved in funding and running the recovery operations. The goal is to make the area more stable by attracting businesses that will keep extremist groups away. But there is still doubt about whether these countries will follow through because they have a history of not getting involved. Blockades, a lack of trade chances, and damage from wars have all hurt Gaza's economy. To rebuild homes, schools, and businesses, the foreign community, especially the UN and humanitarian groups, has called for ongoing financial help. The hard part is making sure that any money given for rebuilding is used wisely and doesn't end up in the hands of radical groups that have been active in the area for a long time. Israel's role in what it wants. Concerns about Israel's safety have always been at the center of its policies toward Gaza. Israel's government has said many times that the only way to bring peace to Gaza is to get rid of the dangers that Hamas and other militant groups pose. However, it is still unclear whether Israel will actively help rebuild Gaza or if it will only focus on keeping security in place. Finding out what Israel needs to do to help with the rebuilding will be a key part of any future deal. Some people think that Israel should help with the rebuilding since it has been militarizing Gaza, problems that Arab countries are facing. Throughout history, countries in the Middle East have had complicated and sometimes opposing views on the Palestinian problem. Some people have given money to help, but not many have taken direct responsibility for ending the problem. Trump's plan to make these countries responsible for Gaza's future is meant to force them to either accept Palestinian refugees or pay for rebuilding. Some people say that Arab countries shouldn't be the only ones to blame for the damage in Gaza because they didn't cause it. The ongoing conflict between Israel and the Palestinians and power struggles around the world have made it hard for Arab countries to agree on what to do. These countries are also unwilling and unable to support Gaza on a big scale because of political and economic problems inside their own countries. There are both possibilities and problems on the way forward. To find a long-term answer for the Palestinians in Gaza, we need to do more than just talk about security. We also need to invest in their economy. There are several possible paths. The International Coalition for Reconstruction, which is made up of major powers like the US, EU, and Gulf countries, could lead a global effort to rebuild Gaza. This group could pay for and oversee rebuilding projects. But differences about promises to pay money and who controls politics are still problems. Regional investment in development. Financially stable Middle Eastern countries could help with rebuilding, making sure that Gaza can support itself. This method, on the other hand, needs strong diplomatic talks and promises that future disputes won't hurt investments. Peace initiatives between Israel and the Palestinians. A long-term end to the war between Israel and the Palestinians is very important for the stability of Gaza. Peace efforts in the past have mostly failed, but new diplomatic efforts could lead to a more complete deal that includes both political and economic plans for Gaza's future. What the United States and the rest of the world should do. The United States is a major world power, so it has a lot of influence over Gaza's future. The Trump government put a lot of emphasis on economic incentives, but other U.S. administrations might do things differently in the future. Things like economic sanctions, diplomatic talks, and direct help could all affect how things develop. The United Nations and the European Union have also spoken out about the need for humanitarian aid and long-term peace options. But finding a balance between humanitarian worries and political realities, social and humanitarian things to think about. Aside from politics and money, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is still a very important matter. There isn't enough food, clean water, or medical care for millions of Palestinians. Years of war have taken a terrible toll on the minds and bodies of a generation that needs help right away. In order to improve the quality of life for Palestinians, we must invest in areas such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure. A weak hope for the future. Even though there has been conflict and failed peace attempts for decades, there is still hope for a better future in Gaza. There are ways to move forward that can make life better for Palestinians and make the area more stable, such as through diplomatic talks, economic investments, or working together with other countries. Finally, ending the crisis in Gaza will take help from many groups such as Israel, Arab countries, the United States, and international organizations. It is important to deal with both the short-term social needs and the long-term political and economic problems. Focusing on rebuilding, running the government, and building peace could finally make Gaza a safe and prosperous place to live. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth analysis on global issues. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.